Have you ever drunk from an actual river? I might have, but it would have been a long time ago and on accident. Now, I don't have any comments about whether you should or should not be drinking from rivers, but I do have a phenomenal and kind of gross quote from Henry David Thoreau's journal that I think is one of the greatest reasons to read I've ever read. Two quick things before I tell you the quote. Number one, this video is part of a series called Reasons to Read. Sometimes they're more poetic, sometimes they're more practical, but they all have one thing in common in that I encourage you to read. Not usually to read specific books, just reading as a concept if you feel unfamiliar with it or not sure whether you should be doing it or what you might be missing out on, or you had reading ruined for you in school. I would encourage you to go back to the beginning. We've been posting these for about 2 years now, and I think this will be the 30th one. There's a playlist linked in the description, and I think you'll find them helpful. Thing number two, let me tell you a little bit about Henry David Thoreau's journal. So Thoreau, you probably know him from Walden, just the image, right? The guy who went into the woods to live by the pond by himself. Walden was one of my favorite books a couple of years ago. And so for Christmas, my wife got me the journal. And first of all, look at this book. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's really nice to hold too. And second of all, it's very dense. It's quite a long book. It's abridged, and normally I don't like abridged books very much. I'd rather read the whole thing. But this has been abridged from about 7,000 pages to 700 pages, which I think is still, a little chunky. So I'm slowly making my way through it. I read a couple pages every morning, and it has been ridiculously rich. I only read a couple of pages, and I'm underlining something almost every page. The journal's format is a little strange. It is actually just his journal. He will have lists of birds, he'll list what flowers come out, and then in between, he'll slip little philosophical observations. And so much is coming to mind right now, I want to bring it up, but I can't. I have to stay focused. We're just going to talk about the weird part where he drinks from the stream, and that's going to be it. But I'm only 200 pages in of 700, so you might hear about this book again later in the future. But this quote is one of my favorite illustrations of Thoreau's method of observing something in nature and then connecting it to something he's been thinking about. So he's just finished having a drink in a stream, some flowing water, not stagnant water, and then he switches from straight up description of what he's been doing to a question to himself. And he says, and this is the quote, "How many ova have I swallowed? Who knows what will be hatched within me? There were some seeds of thought, methinks, floating in that water, which are expanding in me. The man must not drink of the running streams, the living waters, who is not prepared to have all nature reborn in him, to suckle monsters." And just what an image. Now, I can't say Thoreau in that moment is exactly talking about reading a book, but the parallels are clear. There are some seeds of thought that were floating in that water that I drank that are now expanding in me. And you should not drink of these waters unless you're prepared to have all of nature reborn in you. This is a positive rephrasing of, right, you are what you read. I feel like that information has been phrased usually in a negative way. Be careful, don't read or listen to or watch bad things. But in this case, he's saying, hey, be careful. When you read something or experience something really beautiful, that casts a little seed inside you. Be prepared for it to come out in some pretty incredible ways. In other words, don't read great, meaningful books unless you're ready to have something crazy change in your life and live a more meaningful life. Don't read, for example, Wendell Berry unless you're prepared to all of a sudden have an urge to start a garden and stop being on your phone so much. Don't do it if you don't want that to happen. I can attest, I have been reading Wendell Berry for 5 or 6 years now. That seed that I swallowed in college has been hatched within me, and I just placed an order for some fruit trees, and I've been digging holes in my yard. I've been starting seeds and playing the piano so that they grow better. Don't swallow these ideas unless you're ready for them to hatch in you later. Socrates said the unexamined life isn't worth living, but don't read these books unless you're ready to try and live the examined life. You read Antoine de Saint-Exupéry in 2023, and in 2024 you're in a mosh pit because there was a moment in that book that reminded you to participate in the world around you, and now you can't forget it. It's not that concrete. I know it's not a math problem. It's not just like, oh, read a book this year and next year, next thing will happen. But I know for a fact when I keep drinking, when I have been reading Dostoevsky and Thoreau and Wendell Berry and James Baldwin and Brian Doyle and Ursula K. Le Guin and Marcus Aurelius, as I've been drinking from these streams, I am swallowing river eggs. I am swallowing these ideas. They are inside of me and they're incubating. And then someday they just hatch, and all of a sudden they're there. This is maybe a grosser version of the phrase from the very first Reasons to Read, you can only cook what's in the fridge. You can only hatch the eggs you've swallowed from the river. I don't know if that's quite as catchy, so we'll probably stick with the first fridge one, but yeah, swallow some good ideas. And if you're not sure where to start, that's okay. Serendipity is a huge part of it. I would suggest you wander to a used bookstore, do it in person, find a used bookstore, walk around the classic section and find one book that you recognize something about. Try not to know too much about it. Be like, oh, Dickens, I know who that is. Louisa May Alcott, I know about her. Something. Just find a name you've heard of and grab it and read it and see what happens. And if it doesn't stick, that's okay. You can read another one. Anyway, I'm going to read that quote again. Probably not efficient for the algorithm, but I just think it's such a great quote, so I want to leave you with it. How many ova have I swallowed? Who knows what will be hatched within me? There were some seeds of thought, methinks, floating in that water which are expanding in me. The man must not drink of the running streams, the living waters, who is not prepared to have all nature reborn in him, to suckle monsters. Well, I hope you read some good books. I hope you swallow some good ideas, and I hope you have all nature reborn in you someday and suckle some monsters. I'll see you next time. Happy reading. Oh, and by the way, if you'd like more Reasons to Read, I do run the Reasons to Read Mail Club, which is a monthly physical mail club. Like, I will literally send you a big brown envelope every month. There's all sorts of bookish stuff in there. Old writing, my writing, original thoughts, drawings, zines, book recommendations, and we can send these all over the world. So if that sounds interesting to you and you'd like to get a big brown envelope in your mailbox every month, you can sign up at the link below. Happy reading.